was going to say was I'm officially mad at you until I have a color copy.
I know.
So that's how it is.
I
But
know everyone is.
whenever I ordered your book, I was expecting to get a book.
Yeah.
Instead, I got this 800-page tome that is now the biggest on my bookshelf because you covered everything here. And you have been busy, since the last time we chatted. I cannot think of a better way to kick this off than just to read from your book for a short moment.
Yeah.
And I haven't mowed through the whole thing yet, but this is easily one of my favorite spots. Whenever you're talking about the kahunas,
okay,
you write, sending mana through the shadow body or sending the shadow body itself to a higher realm to dematerialize, heal, and return restored. Straight alchemy, by the way. Mm-hmm. They also transmitted telepathic messages across vast distances with near perfect accuracy, using what they called shadow body cords. And then you kind of compared that to threads or filaments. I think that's like some Donnie Darko shit right there.
Yeah.
To transmit information through the ether. And then this is where you get deep.
Yeah.
Why can't we all do this? For one, it takes time and practice and deep understanding with both plasma and ourselves. The missing key may be the level of consciousness and coherence needed to access these forces. The kahunas were deeply aligned with their emotions, energy, and intent. They didn't just believe in magic. They embodied it as a living relationship with the universe. Their miracles is in quote here, results were the natural outcome of applied experience and higher knowing. So why hasn't science cracked this yet? And I love that second line. And I also love the way that you break everything down in the book, because to answer your own question, I love bullet points. I'm a sucker for these things.
Yeah.
You write down exactly where our inhibitions are as people when accessing these things that we call magic. Yeah. Which is really just undiscovered science.
Yeah, literally. What page is that so I can follow along here?
That is on 332.
Okay.
And then it goes into 333 whenever you get into Ralph Waldo Emerson, which my son is named after Ralph Waldo Emerson. That's Emery. But and then it goes into how he's kind of a poet and how reality is not as fact as we like it to be, or as we think it is as biological people, because reality is fluid and everything. But all right, tell me a little bit about your book, the process, how you got here, all that.
Yeah. Well, one thing I was going to say quick, because it's just in my head and we were talking about it last night with what you were just saying, where this magic seemed to be a natural occurrence back then. Magic is really the mundane. And I think we sensationalize magic, and that actually makes our consciousness attached to magic, which is why we cannot perform magic. If we were to just look at human magic as a natural thing when we're coherent with our consciousness and plasma, and for everyone who doesn't know what plasma is, the way I talk about it, it's just the living fabric of reality. So when we're coherent in our heart energy, in our heart consciousness with this plasma, with this fabric of reality, we can start to do things like telepathy, like eventually moving things with our minds and telekinesis, and these things and more are all possible. The only reason it hasn't been is because, just like Nikola Tesla said, when you understand, everything in energy, frequency, and vibration, everything will change. The world opens up, whatever he said. My point here is, I view, and we spoke about this last night, frequency to me is actually just consistency. It is practicing our magic every day. And that almost lets our consciousness evolve to do these different states of magic we didn't even know we can do. That is, you discover your personal magic through frequency. And then energy and vibration, to me, vibration is resonance. It is your heart consciousness. It is your authentic state of being. You have to be aligned in resonance. And then for energy, for those who don't know, Tesla, worked on radiant matter, which is plasma, but he also spoke about this radiant energy in a few of his textbooks. That's why the government kind of took all his stuff. And he said that this would change the future. And the radiant energy is this almost like, you can call it God energy. I call it emergent energy. It is this mix of plasma and consciousness, this fifth dimensional secret energy that we work with when we harmonize our consciousness in plasma. I also call it plasma, but it's a finer plasma. But anyway, it's just cool.
I like that you call it emergence energy, because I like it as God energy as well. I think that's what's animating us right now. But when you say emergent energy, that helps it make sense to people who are on the fence about it, because like cicadas do this complex phi ratio mathematics. And like, which cicada decided to do that math? Well, not one individual one, it's an emergent. So there's this underlining intelligence there. And this is animating us all. Like in your book, you talk about jinn. And it reminds me of how Frankenstein was brought to life with electricity. And in alchemy, the whole point of alchemy is to make dead matter imbued with life, to bring it to life. And our brain, you can take a human brain, and it's got all the neurons, it's got all the synapses, they're all right there in your hand, but it's a dead brain. It's not doing anything. If you add electricity to it, then the brain is alive. So that, I mean, how much clearer could it be that we are just literally electricity, but we're just stuck in this, like a tire gets struck by like a vehicle is safe from lightning because it's insulated from the lightning. We are lightning trapped in a body, you know. So when we die, it joins the rest of the
And funny enough, lightning is plasma if you look it up. So it's you know, electricity, plasma. But the thing is, we don't know what electricity is because it's a plasma, in my opinion. I mean, it's hello.
We have a bad habit as a species of naming things and then calling it a day. We do that with the word placebo, with hallucination, however. But that's what one of the things of many things I love about your book is that it's all under the same umbrella, under different names, and you can call it whatever you want, which we talked about extensively on our first chat. But what we didn't really talk about in our first chat is what makes this book different from all of the other esoteric and occult. This is not a list of facts. This is a how-to manual on how to direct your electromagnetic self using emotion and self-alchemy, and you break it down in such a way that you have proven. And so I told you earlier, this reminds me of a feminine, right-brained version of Robert Temple's Science of Heaven, you know, but it's got everything in it. You have the scientific fact, you've got the religious aspect to it, but most of all, you tie it together with a how-to. Extremely helpful.
Thank you. That's such a good review. Emotion seems to be at the center of everything. You know, energy and motion. And I think it's been staring us in the face for a while, is that the key to all this is really us. The key to all this is knowing who we are. And we can study all these occult practices all day, but if we don't know the deepest, darkest parts of ourselves, and if we're not in touch with our emotions drive our plasma body. Our emotions is what rockets us into future potentials. Our emotions is what magnetizes things to us. So if we are not in touch with our feelings and our authenticity and coherent within ourselves, we can know a lot, but our lives aren't going to change. And that was me. And then as soon as I started applying the stuff I wrote in the book, you know, now I live in my dream apartment. I was living in my mom's bedroom.
I remember.
It's crazy how it happens, and it's not always immediate. I also talk a lot about in the book about the intelligence of reality and the meaning of like surrender and opening or letting go, and just to let the intelligence of reality carry you and trust your life path. And for a lot of us who get anxious about manifesting, for me, it really helps me kind of go with the flow and not rush into becoming this millionaire. It's like, enjoy the journey, everyone, because there's so much beauty in life that we're missing when we're in the rat race.
Yes. In your book, you actually wrote in here, what was the quote that I love so much about these experiences were lessons, and I didn't know that at the time. We're always trying to figure things out. We're always in a rush to figure things out. And in the world we live in, I don't want to blame science for everything, but the way we're taught, our educational system, we say that ideas and dreams and these things, emotions, all that, they're in this category. And physical matter and science and all this stuff that we can feel, touch, and see is in this category, never realizing that there is a mercury, or what an alchemical mercury, so to speak, between these things called plasma or electromagnetic, whatever you want to call it. And they're causal to each other. Everyone's always arguing, is it mind before matter, matter before mind? I've sided with mind before matter, but this is a feedback loop, Ouroboros, and we can sway one with the other. That's why if you feel good, you're in a good mood, and if you're in a good mood, you feel good.
It's like the infinity symbol, like, and that's even this kind of symbol that I draw all the time, that I've been drawing my whole life, is like in Egyptian symbols too. Everything is a feedback loop, and that, you know, in another dimension, a feedback loop is just an Ouroboros and a Taurus.
That the Taurus thing I've been really breaking down lately, especially when it comes to that infinity symbol too, because I just found recently that if you take a Taurus and you slice it in half, and then you can slice it around the outside, it unfolds into a square, which is very This ties directly in with, you know, the black cube of, you know, lore of the ancients and stuff. And the flower of life is a depiction of this Taurus shape. And I mean, blood cells, the way plasma takes on the shape of a Taurus is considered strange to scientists because they don't understand how it can self-organize like that. But if we can step out of our own way for a second to say, dude, we live in a living universe and it decides things, like those cicadas we mentioned earlier. They decide, but as a whole, we will open up such wonderful avenues to science.
Yes, what you're saying too, and this intelligence you speak of, and I talk about it in my book a lot, I call it the mystery. I don't love the word God, but you can call it God, the mystery. I also call it our future ancestors, or, you know, our fifth dimensional higher selves. I believe that we can all access, every single one of us, no matter how bad or good of a person we are, our higher selves, just through being authentic and following our soul's path. It doesn't mean you can't make mistakes. You don't need to be a sinless person. All you need is like a genuine innocence to want to connect with your higher self. And when we connect with that fifth dimensional energy, which some, you know, religion has kind of capitalized on as God, but anyone can do, and you don't have to go to any church or any even sacred land to do it. You can do it right here, right now. When you connect to this fifth dimensional space in your third dimensional body, then you can start to use this fourth dimensional plasma to create reality, instead of thinking that it's creating you or you're victim to reality. So intelligence, you speak of this higher intelligence, I see as a culmination of our higher selves that just have a wider vantage point, and we can tap into it at any time if we let go of the resistance of our thoughts and emotions, which is very hard.
Third, fourth, and fifth dimensional realms. You know, Adam Butler will tell you, any seasoned DMT psychonaut will tell you that when they cross that threshold, everything, there's 5 spatial dimensions, very specifically 5 spatial dimensions over there. And it teaches you things. And, you know, this plasma, this energy is always trying to teach us things. But the shortcut with DMT is like staring it right in the face, you know. And there's parts in your book that reminded me of a particular one that I had recently, where I went in and it was just a complete storm. I was out of my damn mind, and then something picked me up like and said, look at it. And I could see myself, I could see my thought process, and I was watching myself thinking, and my thoughts were like, okay, I'm here right now because I did this earlier. I can do this for an hour, but if I relax too long, this will be off the table. Now I have to take this, and I'm justified of being here as long as I get to this later, but that's going to come after this thing.
I do that too.
Like, I'm always justifying where I'm at and why I'm doing why am I allowed to do this? Like, so this being was like, look at it, look what you're doing. And it put me back in my body where I was like, okay, I got it. and I just emptied it out and let whatever was happening in front of me happen. And that was the teaching. I wasn't meant to figure out every little symbol or whatever that was flying by. I was just meant to absorb it. And what better way to live in the moment? You know, it doesn't mean not to plan your future, but while you're planning your future,
live
be
in the moment.
there to plan it, you know?
Yeah, I struggle with it too. I'm sure everyone watching also struggles with that. Just the you nuanced it really well. Like the justification of thought. Like I go through my day, I have so many post-it notes and like to-do lists, and like I have to justify why I'm relaxing or like, you know, doing, like, you know, like look at this shit. It's like, this is my fucking jail. And it's like, when I let go of all this, when I let go of all this and I've just built a cage for myself. Like now I'm not in society's cage. I'm in my own cage. So it's like, we have to realize that these things outside of us are all projections of what we do to ourselves. So like I actually just had an experience yesterday when I was meditating, same. And it doesn't mean I've changed, but it means that I'm more aware of it, where I had the same exact thing you just said, where I saw my thoughts going in real time. And I was like, this is just another cage. I was like, just be. I was like, I don't need to worry about the past or future or who likes me or why this person isn't doing what I want them to do. And or like, oh, I can't relax because I don't, you know, I'm making this money and I don't deserve to relax. I have to justify the money I'm making, like just all this weird stuff. And for at least a little bit, I was just able to sit back and be Dana and go back to the innocence of me and just have fun. And that's when things come through. But I think the more success you have, the harder that gets. So I think it's very important to just learn how to be again and really trust that the plasma, the universe will magnetize things to you when you're in that state.
We forget about the child whenever we get a little taste of success. The child, and I'm guilty of this too, because, and again, something I know you're going to relate with. Was whenever I landed my dream job of doing this, you know, I worked in construction before. I had to justify every time I made a dime, how am I worthy of this? And relaxation became difficult, almost to the point to where I'm doing what I love, but now it's work to do it. The child is screaming to come out and be like, this is the shit we used to explore for fun. Get out of your own way and let that child ask questions. You know, Jesus said, in order to get into heaven, you must become like little children. You know, I don't think that means blind faith. I think that means to be inquisitive.
Have fun, curiosity.
Right. This is meant to be for fun, and not just what we're talking about, but life. The reason we're on Earth. It's meant to be for fun. I mean, we talk about Gnosticism and stuff a lot, but there's a line there where we're here just to experience. It's like that DMT trip where I couldn't focus. It's like, dude, you're not supposed to focus right now. Just let it fly, you know?
Yes. And oh my God, wait, I just had a little channeling the other day too. Fun. The word F-U-N is like funnel. And when you're having fun, you're creating that vortex, that funnel for everything to come in. So now when I think of having fun, I'm like, no, it's fun. Fun can be scientific. I'm letting the funnel vortex happen.
Right. Exactly. That's what I think makes you special as an entertainer. After the first time we talked, there was a lot of like, you know, these type of dudes, and I love my entire audience, but there's a type of dude who's thrown off by, you know, you come on the screen, you're like, okay, guys, today, and you're whimsy and fun, and people don't realize that. No. That's a characteristic. That's a surface. You go past that, you will find a lot of depth here, and a lot of applicable science is what I would rather call it applicable science than esoteric, than occult, you know, philosophy or whatever. I want to know more about your communion and how you meditate and stuff. You write in here, this is another one of my favorite quotes. Bless your coffee, speak to the stars. Life becomes magic when you treat it as such. Fucking poetry right there. So how do you get in the zone? How do you tune in with it?
Literally the way I get in the zone is having fun and being curious. Like that is how I get in the zone. Yeah, it's just being me. It's not worrying about the past or future. It's not worrying about outcomes. Like, yes, when I meditate and really focus on feeling my body, not when I focus on letting go my thoughts, because that feels impossible.
Right.
But when I focus on feeling my toes, my shoulders, like maybe where the emotion is in my body, that actually can get me into a very cool flow state.
Yeah.
And also just journaling. When I ask my journal questions, the answers seem to just drop in.
That's
Yeah.
huge. You ask the journal questions, which is obviously a surface for asking everything.
Yeah, I just start writing down questions. Anytime questions, it's quest-ion, right? And anything with ion reminds me of plasma. So you're going on a quest with plasma. So you're asking quest ion. So then, answers will come to you. So yeah, I think that's the same with getting rid of fear, because I have so much fear. I've had it my whole life and I'm working on it. When I really am lucid, when I'm in a fear state and I just question the fear, I can actually break it down and it fizzles away. So curiosity, it's so simple to get in a flow state. It's being yourself, curiosity, and fun. And I wouldn't even say focus on letting go. I would say focus on opening. Just take a second, stop thinking, and just open and see what comes to you and trust what's coming to you. And it's coming to you from a higher place, whether it's visuals, a picture of a duck laughing, an Egyptian sorcerer, like whatever's coming to you is meant, a word that you all of a sudden start going on like this Google K-hole and you get to these other words, like just trusting what's coming in instead of what I'm generating.
Right. I've always told people, instead of blocking your thoughts, ask yourself, I wonder what my next thought will be. And then so that's almost like Carl Jung's active imagination, where he's letting these things come, but instead of figuring it out with his logic, he's just absorbing it and bearing witness to himself,
I talk about that in the book too. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Robert Flood, he's got all those awesome, cool diagrams and stuff like that. And you say he believed the human soul was capable of interacting with the etheric realm through imagination, will, and contemplation. And this is like the same guy who talks about Hermes. And he'll say, Hermes' entire life was dedicated to love and done with love. And that's interesting, because upon first appearance, you wouldn't imagine that. We always imagine Herm Dog as he's scribe and he's figuring stuff out and he's got schematics and he's like, and that's not the case. He did his studies and he gained his wisdom through play.
I would say I have the same. I'm so glad you brought that up and reminded me of that too. And there is a thing in my book about like creative imagination and negative capability and ways to like really get in that mindset of receiving, higher knowledge that I do talk about. But love is the answer. Love, it actually is the answer. It is getting in your heart energy. Monroe Institute teaches about that. To get in the reason I think I get curious is because my passion comes out, right? So I think because I love plasma and I love learning, I'm in my heart state. And if I'm ever doing it for clout or for money or to impress people, it never works. Or it's like what is it? Like the kratom to heroin. It's like the worst drug.
I'm feeling a little called out right now.
Sorry. But you know what I'm saying? It really is. It's like the generic version. And if you want to, I hate using a drug reference. I'm sorry, everyone. But if you want like a straight shot to the universe, you gotta be in that love energy. And you might, if you are in your ego, you still can get amazing revelations, but it's just something fresh and different when you're in that. Yeah. And I can't even put it in words, because you can't put it in words, but the only way I can instruct people to really get in that state is to just be yourself, play, ask questions, journal, follow, take one day out of your entire life. I try to do this multiple times a month. Just take a day, whether it's Sunday, Saturday, even a Tuesday night, if you have nothing to do, a few hours.
Even Tuesday, what?
Even Tuesday.
Wild.
And just see what book you want to open, or just an inclination to Google something, and just see where it leads you. Don't worry about any outcomes. And I bet you everyone will have a revelation.
Yeah. And well, two things on that. First of all, I'm glad you used the drug reference, because I mean, if there's one thing we have in common here is that our backgrounds are fucked up, and we've talked about that, which we won't go into that, but that makes us, I feel like, living proof. When I read this and I know about who Dana was once upon a time, I call this living proof of what is possible when you treat your mind as well, like you said here with Robert Flood Descartes talks about our mind, our body, our brain is a perfect machine receiver of God. It doesn't produce consciousness, it receives it like an antenna. And if I was pure consciousness with nothing to reflect off of, there's nobody around to laugh at my jokes or whatever, it's just sheer sentience without a wall to bounce off of. Well, I'm going to create a version of me that I can jump into and have amnesia. And the human mind with the pineal gland, pituitary gland, all that stuff with the kundalini set up the way it is quite literally an antenna for God to experience itself. You know, this is what I feel is like what they call the fall of Sophia, but it wasn't so much an accident as much as it was an expression.
I would say it's meant to be. I say that we fall into our bodies here because our higher self or God is just learning through the many facets of the many timelines that we're in. So us being humans is very special, where we're here to have fun. We're here to experience pleasure and play and discernment and mistakes, and everything we do, every choice we make, we are feedbacking with our higher self, who's learning from like the trillions of us out there right now.
Trillions by now. I think there's roughly 1 trillion people in the chat right now. I didn't count.
Hi everyone.
It's 8 billion. There's 8 billion people
hello,
in the
8
chat.
billion. We're manifesting 8 billion of you to know God.
Well, so let's talk about the fall. Let's talk about Sophia a bit, because I've got a wild speculative theory. I don't even know if it's a theory, but let me bounce this off of you, because you talk about Occam's razor. And I love that you bring up Occam's razor, because typically in the esoteric people avoid that term. But the way you're showing this is that this is of course, it's the simplest way to explain things. You know, scientists talk about the Big Bang, which frankly doesn't make any sense. No. So if you're looking at Occam's razor, there's something a lot more logical here. So in the electric universe theory, suns give birth to planets. They don't catch planets. You know, which begs the question, where do planets come from anyway in that model? So they say that suns give birth to planets. Well, you're aware that in laboratories, plasma creates its own dust. From nothing. Like, scientists had to scrap their results because they kept on saying, dust is getting in here, we don't know how. And so, well, plasma creates its own dust. To me, as above, so below, that's exactly the same story. Suns creating planets is plasma creating dust, quite literally. How is this not the exact same ancient story of the fall of Sophia creating the demiurgos? Again, it's not evil. It's just it's an expression. It might have been done in ignorance, but nevertheless, that I think the fall of Sophia creating the demiurgos is plasma creating its own dust. I think those are the same stories, and that's where Occam's razor falls right there for me.
Yeah, it's the simplest explanation. I think that's brilliant. And I would even say we need to reassociate our relationship with the fall, because is that a cat I just heard?
Yeah, that's my buddy.
Okay, the cat agreed with me, and now I'm going to go on this tangent. The fall, when we're falling in love, when we are in the unknown and we're experiencing a lot of fear, we feel like we're falling. But what is falling? Falling is also flying, right? Okay. And I think that the fall is also the fly. And I think that fall is also laugh backwards, which is kind of like comedic. It's like laugh at the fall, right? But it's like, it's not that serious, right? It's like when we're in these fallen states or falling, we're really flying and learning how to experience life and making mistakes and in the unknown. And in the fall is where there's unlimited possibilities. So I really see it as like this beautiful learning and transition and liminal state that we all go through in our lives multiple times. And Plasma, or Sophia in the fall, this wisdom, right, this higher intelligence created it to learn about itself. You know, falling isn't bad. It's just like when a kid learns to walk, they fall a lot of times until they stop falling.
Yeah.
So we're just keep falling until we learn a lot.
Sophia said that she wanted to find out if she could create with amnesia in a state of ignorance. So people assume that this was a problem. What's up?
No, you gave me so like in my book, I talk about how consciousness and plasma split a long time ago because consciousness had to learn how to evolve on its own. It's kind of like leaving our mom from home and becoming individualized. Right. And with what you just said, wait, can you repeat the exact sentence you just said?
No, I'm not quoting from it, but Sophia wanted to know if she could create while she had amnesia. And then once she did, she was like, she begged to the monad. She said, save the mineral world because it is you.
So I think right now we're creating with amnesia, but we're mostly creating negative things because we think we're victims to life. So the second we kind of awaken in this amnesia and realize that we're co-creating with plasma and our consciousness, that we're co-creating our futures instead of it being created. Because I think that's the thing right now. We're creating with amnesia by just creating like mostly negative things because we're all in survival and fear mode. But the second we can wake up from this amnesia, and it's still amnesia, but it's like we can create with this remembering, which I think we're all remembering. And to actually move from a place of I can't create my future, I'm a victim to this deterministic life, and to go to I'm co-creating my life, there's a lot of fear there because it's like, oh my God, my thoughts and emotions create reality, but I have negative thoughts. And there's all this nuance, and I talk about it in my book, but you don't have to worry about any of the negative thoughts when you're creating. All you have to do is fix and heal your subconscious and know that you deserve the best and know that you're still going to make mistakes. And that kind of change in your belief system can co-create like a beautiful future. Because for instance, instead of thinking, oh, I was abandoned as a child, like me, you know, I was adopted, whatever, I felt abandoned, even though I know now that she gave me up for a good reason. My whole life, it's been the story, everyone's going to abandon me. And I projected my past into the future. And amnesia is co-creating that. Instead, now I'm like, okay, what if I live in the present? And instead of thinking everyone's going to abandon me, I co-create. No, that did happen. And that doesn't need to keep happening. That literally, for me, has changed my life because people stopped abandoning me because I've changed my mindset. So it's kind of accountability and fear when we realize we co-create reality.
We push people away before they get a damn chance to abandon us. Meanwhile, they never had that intention in the first place. And we get it out of the way just to save ourselves from the disappointment later. And it reminds me of, whenever we contemplate good and bad, evil, righteous, and these things, we're always so quick to categorize them as if they have those categories upstairs in the subtle realms. We don't stop for a moment to realize that that's unified up there. We divide that. Right? When that power comes through our funnel, we decide what we like and we don't like with all of our preferences and stuff, which you go into Zen here about that. But it reminds me of electricity. So it's quite literal in this metaphor, is that like William Donahue said, God and the power, the jinn, all these things, this power is just power. It's like electricity. It could light up this whole house and this whole set in the right hands, but in the wrong hands, we're going to burn this motherfucker down. And what it takes is the electrician to have experience.
Or a good nervous system.
Exactly. Right. So if we go to trade school for our nervous system, so to speak, it will help us. And that's exactly what that is. And speaking of which, you make that very clear right here. Okay. So you talk about the Upanishads and the Ramayana, which is I love how you jump around in this book, because you have certain chapters that are towards certain things, but it's not like this chapter is Eastern and this chapter is alchemy. Yeah. You're like, this chapter is a concept and all of these things tie in.
Yeah.
But you wrote, we can, about reclaiming your power. We can surf dimensions of thought, emotions of realities, even feelings of experience. We become the transparent eyeball. I don't know what that is. I'm going to ask you about it. Letting life flow through us while calling in new realities to witness. And then at some point you realize it all grows you, feeds you, and all you can really do is laugh. After all, Brahman means cosmic joy. So before you answer that, I just, my 2 cents there is, a lot of people forget that we are an input and output system, just like everything else in nature is. That's how photosynthesis works. So they talk about, how do I get, that's the big question, is how do I get into heaven? How do I get into heaven? And in different ways of saying that, the answer to that question is to create your own heaven. But whenever people think create your own heaven, they automatically, okay, well, I'm going to work to get my perfect house. I'm going to work to get the car, the love of my life. I'm going to do all this stuff for me. Yeah. Not necessarily so. To create your own heaven, all you have to do is realize that you are an input and output alchemical lab. If you go through your life saying, I'm going to leave every place and person I run into a little bit better than when we met, boom, you just created heaven. And it's not a one-time thing. This isn't a constantly changing practice.
Yeah. I would say to everyone listening, like, you are heaven now, and you just need to remember that. And heaven, and you are truth, you are warmth, you are love, you are always changing. That not even it's hard to conceptualize. It's just, you are, and remembering that is like changes your life.
You're never gonna make it. In the world of Pokemon, there is a final form that these little critters they get to. Here we go, like Exhibit A.
I love Pokemon.
Oh, have you seen the Pokemon called oh, guys, help me out. He's an ancient eyeball symbol, and it's like hieroglyphics or whatever, and they create reality. I'm gonna send it to you later.
Wait, not Whirlpool.
Guys, who's the Pokemon? He's a swarm of eyeballs, like straight DMT.
Swarm of eyeballs. Shit, I wish I had my fucking phone. Swarm of eyeball Pokemon. I have to look it up.
While we're looking that up, hold on.
Masquerain. Oh wait, that's not it. Is it Masquerain? Not Masquerain, is it?
No, I forgot what it was. He's got a letter for every bit of the alphabet. Come on. Cat.
Guys, help.
Do you want to go outside? Oh my goodness.
Sigilif?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Hold on. Sigilif. Oh, whoa. I've never heard of Sigilif.
You haven't heard of that?
No. When the heck did Sigilif come out? I'm probably saying this so wrong.
So yeah, my son broke it all down for me. Welcome to a real damn life here, guys. He's gonna.
Oh my God.
You know what it is? Here too. He already ate this morning, but now that he sees I don't want to be interrupted, he's gonna meow, knowing he can get a second meal. Look at him. And then the other one comes in and
usually my dog will interrupt like so many times. So right now she's being quiet. Thank God.
Well, my cats have been quiet all damn morning until you came on the screen. So. Oh
my God, that's so funny. Yes, I do sell signed books, everyone. They're at danakippel.com.
Right now in the link in the description, I have danakippel.com.
Oh.
I think that's a link to everything. But right after we get done here, by the way, send me your other main links. I want to add those to the description.
Yes. Yes, I have a new magic class too, guys, that if you don't know anything about plasma and consciousness, it's December 8th at 6 p.m. PST. The link is in any of my social media bios. It should be on danakippel.com. It's on my stand store, and it's like a Black Friday price of $88, and it's a live Q&A where I talk to everyone, and I also am teaching for an hour and a half about this stuff and magic.
Remind me to get with you about that aspect of this, because I've yet to explore outside of making documentaries, and a lot of people want to chat. I would like to also do that.
Yeah, you should. I'll let you know how it goes because it's my first one.
Oh, is it your first one? All
yeah.
Right. So in the Upanishads, they talk about Maya, that the world was not necessarily false, but a temporary shifting appearance of the Brahman, a mirage. Maya trapped souls in samsara, the cycle of rebirth, making people believe the physical world was the only reality. And that's kind of our biological system tricks us because this is all we can see at face value. But where it gets interesting is Maya was used by demons in the Ramayana to create illusion. Now Krishna uses Maya to teach. So Maya is used one way or the other, and depending on how it's used, we're throwing the term demon or angel on it.
Yeah.
Maya is a multi-dimensional word with layered meanings, which of course, so Maya compared to plasma is shaped by consciousness. And this is very important. Everything is.
Yeah.
So once we realize that our consciousness is not shaped by the impact of our environment. Well, it is, but just as much our environment is shaped by our consciousness, and we can tune this thing, you know?
Yeah. And I could make it extremely simple and apply it to reality. It's like, for instance, I'll just apply it to mine.
Okay.
A few years ago, I wanted to be a famous actress. I was living in Los Angeles. That was my choice. And I was getting a lot of commercial auditions and acting auditions, right? Because my intention was to be an actress. That was my reality. I'm now in Portland and I'm writing, and I don't really care that much about acting. I like improv, but it's whatever. I feel like my purpose is teaching this plasma stuff, and I've found my obsession and my destiny, right? And eventually I want to make movies and stuff. My point is, I'm still signed up.
Your first film is brilliant, by the way. For anyone who hasn't seen that, I did enjoy that very much.
But here's the crazy part about reality and Maya and plasma and consciousness is that I'm still signed up with the same agent that I was for commercials, and I still am on all the same acting websites. I've not gotten one audition.
Okay.
Because of my switch of consciousness. So when I was in that intention setting state, I was getting all these auditions. I haven't changed anything besides my intentions. I should still be getting auditions. People should still be reaching out to me about movies, about acting. It's radio silence. And it's because I have changed my level of consciousness and reality towards this plasma stuff. So now I get emails about that. It is a feedback loop. Obviously, it's what you're putting out there too. But my point is, anyone can change. Anyone who feels stuck in reality can change what they're doing at any time with their own choices. So it's just a beautiful, powerful, very normal lesson that reality is an illusion, because it's an illusion because we can choose to change it at any time. It's also very real, but we're never, ever, ever victim to our reality. You can always make some types of choices.
Our obsessions and passions when we're younger, we shouldn't be afraid to discard them to take a turn in our path. But we also have to realize that those passions became skills that are now tools that will help us with whatever the next thing is. And years ago, when I did my I Ching reading, first of all, because I don't really go for that kind of stuff, but if Carl Jung does, I'm going to give it a shot, right? So it told me that on the winter solstice of a certain year, which was 3 years ago, that a dark force in my life would be removed. And then my creative endeavors would then expand and actually become monetized. I think it says in there a form of business or whatever. I thought to myself, yes, finally, I'm going to become a professional musician. And now I've been making music my whole life, and that's my big passion and everything. So on the winter solstice, 3 days after it, when my very first video went batshit viral, I think 10,000 views like overnight.
Wow.
It was a couple of days later that I was like, oh, the I Ching was correct.
Yeah.
Music. But I've been editing and practicing my voice and all these things for so long that now I'm ready for this actual thing that works. With you being an actress for so long, now you have sharpened your way of presenting this important information in such a way that is going to be more natural and amicable to your audience, you know? So you take the inner child and then instead of growing out of the inner child, you aim that little guy and whatever's calling you, because I had bad luck in construction whenever my channel started going big. It was literally shoving me into doing this. You know?
No, you just go where you're meant to go. You just gotta let the plasma carry you.
Let the plasma carry you.
Plasma.
Let me see here. I love this section in here about jinn. They're not inherently evil. They're neither fear-based projections created by human consciousness or neutral beings reflecting our own fearful state back to us as a way to teach us how to transmute it. And I want to ask you about that. Do you feel like maybe Earth is the alchemical lab for these things, and we are meant to transmute these energies? Because whenever this intelligence that is neutral flows through us, that input and output, we are the ones who make it fearful or not, you know?
Yeah, so we assign meaning to everything, and meaning is co-created. So there are energies we come across, and many people, once again, also feel victim to them, or they put them on a pedestal. There are either angels in my life saving me, or there are demons in my life hurting me. And I've experienced angels and demons and holographic beings that are very neutral. And first I went through a lot of trauma in my life, and all I saw was demons. I had sleep paralysis. I saw witch ladies, banshees, gray aliens, shadow people, a red demon floating above me. That was what I saw because my filter was feedbacking with fear. And then when I went through therapy and healed my trauma, I started seeing more angelic beings. And I think I was spiritual bypassing and putting things on pedestals, thinking that something outside of me could save me. And then eventually I got to a place in my recovery, I guess you could say, where I started seeing what I call like the truth behind these fourth dimensional plasma reflections of our subconscious. I saw these more fifth dimensional beings, which are like these glowing, effervescent, holographic lights, or these like neutral looking beings who are just here to support us and who unconditionally love us, but they're not here to save us. They were trying to reflect our own power to us. And they're like, you know, you got the reins here. Like, I'm not going to give you the answers. And it's just been a beautiful journey and something I've wanted to share, because I've been in that dark tunnel where I thought I was haunted by these demons and ghosts, and it feels so real. And it is so real, because I'm not saying they're not real. They're real, scary experiences, but they are feedbacking with our consciousness. And when you change and heal your consciousness, you will not have those experiences. I mean, think about all the gifted, famous spiritualists in the world who don't talk about demons, who are on that higher plane. It's not even a higher plane, more healed. That doesn't resonate with them. So they don't experience those things. And then there are people who talk about them all day. That's because they're resonating with them. And neither is bad or good. It's just, we're not victim to anything, is my point, and the power is inside of us to co-create our own paranormal experiences. And once you get to co-creating, you can call in, you don't even have to call in spirit. These energies kind of come to you here and there, and each of them has information, whether it's from another timeline of yours, whether it's an idea or a fresh experience. Sometimes you will come across some dark thing, which is just a memory for you to kind of heal. But they're all co-creative, fun things. And some of them are holding like new inventions that you can make like millions of dollars off of. Like, that's literally how these things work.
Right. Don't be afraid of cashing in after you've helped the world, you know, and people who talk about being spiritually attacked, they call it gang stalked or whatever. They're like, they're trying to make my spirit dull. I'm being attacked by demons or whatever. I can feel it, this and that. It's important to be like, try switching your mindset. Maybe those are angels pushing you in a new direction, saying that you've been doing this direction for so long, but you've got this potential over here. You can't even see it. So those demons, so to speak, or your bad luck, your fate, your fate can become destiny if you recognize that they're trying to push you
Yes.
in that direction.
Yeah, it's all lessons. And demons are, if anyone read the Book of Dust or the Dark Materials, demons are daemons, which is just like your inner genius.
Right.
That's what a demon is. It's your inner genius crying out, who looks like a monster, but is really just a man stirred up with agitation.
So King Solomon, obviously a Christian figure, utilized demons to build his temple. And what I think is so fun about that is, in construction, one of the comments on one of my videos when I mentioned that, someone said, I had trouble thinking that a Christian man would utilize demons to build a temple, but after I've worked with some of these contractors, now I get it. And so that is funny, but whether it's a metaphor or not, it doesn't matter. Solomon using demons to do good things is a perfect way to illustrate that it is a force, and it's a force that can be utilized as a tool. Like a hammer, you can build a shed with it, or you can beat yourself in the head. It's completely and totally up to you.
Tools.
You mentioned the emerald tablets, which of course that's going to come up we've heard this quote a million times, and it's in your book. Its father is the sun, its mother is the moon. The wind carries it in its belly. Its nurse is the earth, the emerald tablets. So obviously, its father is the sun. Let's say the word plasma there. Its mother is the moon, which is a temporary reflection of the sun. It's
called plasma as well. It actually does put off plasma. Anyway, we talk about that another time. But its atmosphere is plasma. If you go to the NASA website, they were worried about the moon suits because they were scared that like plasma dusty atmosphere could get into the moon suits.
I see. That's going to erupt in the chat with a little debate, but we'll let that slide. But then the wind carries it in its belly. We have electromagnetic, I would say magnetic force of the earth, and it's moving these things around. But at the end, its nurse is the earth. What does a nurse do? It cares for something, So that's what makes me think, just like we were talking about a moment ago, that we are the alchemical lab for this energy not to only experience itself, which is self-evident, but also to move up and forward. Nothing wants to be stagnant.
Yeah, no, I think it's brilliant. I think it's evolving through us. I think it's exactly what you just said. And I think I talk about in my book too, like the wind in the belly or whatever. Like basically there's, machines being made now and, plasma propulsion jets where these guys in China are literally taking nothing from the wind and creating plasma out of it, and it's propelling planes. And that literally is alchemical. It's in the belly of the wind. Plasma.
Right. All the stuff that Nikola Tesla told us was possible so many years ago, and before him, Egyptians, and I'm fascinated by these Hindu temples now. That I know you talked to Base Forge, Aesthetic in the Attic, a little bit, and real hard dude to get a hold of. But I watch his reels all the time, and I find him to be brilliant. But these Hindu temples look like mitochondria, and I don't mean look like, because there's a lot of fluff out there with shorts, especially where people are like, this looks like this, so it must be. That's not what he's talking about. It literally is the breakdown and machined characteristics of mitochondria, but that same machine is what we use in turbines in our machines today. Begging the question, and from the sky, it looks like a circuit board. People say, okay, if it was producing energy, what was it meant to power? They didn't have, cars or whatever to power. To which I think the answer is simple. The machines they powered were us. This might have been a way to enhance the Kundalini energy and expand consciousness by sitting in a particular place, whether it's a pyramid or a Hindu temple. These mitochondriatic whatevers that they created on a macrocosmic scale in stone are now like a Solomon sigil, moving and engaging with this energy to funnel it into our hearts, to make us expand, to make our torus field, I think, more powerful, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I think the like circuitry, I would love if someone would make like a sacred geometrical circuitry with like limestone or something, or like some kind of just to see if it would like, if we could feel that plasma energy flow in the same way. Like, I think computers are really just showing what we could do with consciousness flow. So yeah, I'd be super curious how to do that.
So I don't know if this answers your question.
Yeah.
But this is, so check this out.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a feeling that I'm gonna send you down a rabbit hole with this.
Oh my God.
I should have had all this stuff ready. I don't know where this conversation.
Set it up. I'll read the chat while you're getting it ready. Yes, time crystals. I've looked up time crystals have a lot to do with plasma. Everyone look up plasma crystals. That'll send you all down a wormhole.
So an ancient Gnostic manuscript called the Book of Ja, which, by the way, if there's a lot of Gnostic gospels that we've never heard of. Everyone thinks there's the main four: Thomas, Apocrypha of John, Mary Magdalene, which, by the way, I want to talk about Mary Magdalene soon.
Oh, yes. That's very important.
If you come across a Gnostic gospel that you can't afford online because it's $1,000, you know it's a good one. So get the PDF, go up to FedEx, Office Max, whatever.
What is it called?
This is the Book of Ja.
How do I spell it? J-U.
J-E-W. All right, so check. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
The book is almost like the Tibetan Book of the Dead in such a way that Jesus is teaching his disciples how to get past the archons when they die. And to get past the archons, he shows them these etchings. This is the only Gnostic manuscript that is illustrated.
Okay.
Each illustration is a little bit different as he goes through and teaches his apostles this and that. So this is supposedly a picture of God and his 12 emanations, and then around the outside are the archons, and they all have their own little symbol.
Whoa.
Dana, that is an electrical circuitry. I work in construction. I asked some electricians, and I said, tell me what that is. They said that's electrical circuitry all day. And I mean, so that would be considered a sigil by any scholar or whatever. But keeping that in mind, that looks like electricity, well, not literally electricity, but a way to harness electricity. Take a look at what we find in the Lesser Keys of Solomon. That, I'm not saying they're identical, but I'm saying that there's something.
There's circuitries.
Yes.
I
don't think this is superstition.
No, they're all kind of, I think they're all kind of what you could call ether flows or plasma flows. Like it's
right.
Yeah.
This is a way to harness that energy.
I think so too.
This doesn't mean it has to be on a medallion or like the Hindu temples, which, by the way, if the illustrations in here don't reflect Hindu temples, I'll change my name, because that's what that looks like. Here's another one, by the way, that, I mean, someone send this to Robert Temple, dude, because
I know he'll have a lot to say on it. I feel like he's like a genius. I mean, I think I would be interested too. So if anyone that knows like Reiki and energy healing, like there's certain hand symbols you do into the ether or into the air. I wonder if like you play with your hand and doing some of those symbols, what kind of energy you can open up in the air.
That's what I mean about it doesn't have to be on a medallion or something that you wear on. This is a mental thing. This is the coherent friction between the subtle and the physical realm that be meditated upon. Like in Chinese alchemy, it wasn't just the elixirs they drank. They would meditate on form in order to move their own energies.
It's like a gateway, a conscious gateway, kind of.
Right. The Book of the Golden Flower by Carl Jung. Yeah, he talks about, he's like, you have to circulate that energy, but there is form to it. There's shape to it, just because it's invisible. And I mean, well, hell, right behind me here is, so it doesn't matter. You pick a culture, you're going to find these shapes.
I was going to say too, the mandala behind you. So there's something called gazing. So when basically I remove my focus and I gaze at a mandala, I start to hallucinate. I don't know if that's everyone or just me being crazy. But I think it could be the same with sigils, and I haven't tried it, so I'd have to, but I start getting messages about things. So
yeah, I don't think that's crazy.
Yeah.
As much as it might be rare, but the only reason it's rare is because everyone today seems to forget that we're meant to fine tune our
consciousness.
Right. If our eyes pick up this much of the color spectrum and our ears pick up this much of the sound spectrum, that goes for everything, that means that there is large portions of reality that we don't see. So we feel like, oh, we're stuck. But this is a machine that can be tuned. This is a machine that can be alchemized. So we can literally work with our physical nature to expand our a radio dial on a radio. You can get it fine tuned to pick up the station clearly with no static, but we have to get that static out of the way. What do you got?
Oh no, I was just stretching. Sorry. I
thought you were showing me your tattoo.
Oh no, sorry. I was just thinking like we can do that though. And I think once again, it really, as boring as it sounds, comes down to like learning more about healing our trauma and our nervous systems and learning our proprioception and how our, what cool sigils we could use with dancing in our bodies to like create these gateways. And I mean, it's like ancestral wisdom and a mix of like trauma healing. And I think the most beautiful part of it all is that we are co-creators, that we are not victims, and that we have the power to do literally anything we put our minds to. It doesn't mean if we can't do it tomorrow that we fail. But if you don't give up, give yourself a year trying some of these things and you'll discover magic.
Right. But that is kind of the main thing, is that it starts here first. We can't find results outside of us, especially in this plasmatic thinking. Tai Chi. You see people doing Tai Chi, and upon first face value, you think this is exercise. It's physical movement to get the body fit, but that's not how they describe it. They're dancing with something that's unseen, and something that's very talked about in Tai Chi is the feet. And the way that your feet are moving are creating shapes, just like these sigils, to maximize the amount of prana, chi, they call it chi, energy, plasma, that's coming up through the earth. And obviously we have this magnetic field above our head. And with the earth there, we have this this torus of energy that's literally flowing through us. Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, it makes us not stagnant anymore. It makes that water, which we literally are, flow and move,
Yes, our bioplasma body. So if anyone is having like pains or feels stagnant, I love Tai Chi, but for me, Qigong changed my life. Like I went from having body pains everywhere to having none. And anytime I do, Qigong makes it go away. And that's with moving the ether energy or the chi or the plasma through your body.
So tell me a little bit of Qigong. What is this?
Yeah. So, I mean, so it literally is like you would just like, this is a little Qigong move where you go like this. And then the other one, you scoop up your biofield energy and then like your bottom hand is here. This is just one movement. And if you do it enough, even this centers your energy field, but you'll also see like, these are your lymph nodes and stuff. It will kind of break up this weird stagnant energy you have. And then you hold a lot of fear in your kidneys. And it helps break up your kidneys. And then there's tapping in Qigong. So you'll do 9 taps on your shoulders, on your head. There's the thing where you like bathe your face and do like 9 brushes like this, and then you have to like go like this 9 times, and then you do 9 times on your kidneys. I'm telling you guys, if everyone does that, your whole body will start to change just from that. Like, and it really, really works. Like literally 10 or 15 minutes. These are the things that like no matter how much we know, like some things you just have to take action and do with your body. And it's kind of annoying because, like, you know, if it was up to me, Dana, I would just be studying all day thinking of my theories. I hate doing the body work, but that's what changes your life. So yeah. I would highly recommend, because it's your literal bioplasma energy that is being broken up, because you get these little like coagulations and knots of every time you have a negative thing or trauma, and we store it in our body. It also is stored in our toroidal field. So there's many, many knots there that, you know, form into what I think are health issues and cancer and lymphoma and you know, stiff necks. So when I feel like I practice this Qigong, I feel so healthy.
Yeah. Whenever water sits by itself long enough without flowing, it literally becomes poisonous, you know?
Yeah.
And if anybody thinks that Qigong or yoga or Tai Chi is some kind of placebo, they need to remind themselves really quick that, well, there's a book called The Body Electric, which I haven't mowed through yet, but it explains that we are electrical beings, which this is not pseudoscience. But whenever you pop something, you do this and you hear that crack or whatever, what that actually physically is air pockets getting released. What is not conductive to electricity in the body is air. You can't pass electricity through air as quickly as water, muscle tissue, mineral, these kind of things. So whenever we do these things and we pop and we crack or whatever, you're closing up those gaps within us for the electrical charge to have more conductivity from where it needs to go to up your spine. Ideally, you know, our cerebral spinal fluid would be the same thing. We do this with our back, which is what you were just doing.
Yes, I was getting...
Right. Kick all those air pockets out, and now you've got a direct shot for that electricity to make contact between the two realms, the above and the below, which is not just out there, but absolutely within us as well.
Yeah, body work's incredibly important. And I've noticed that more in the last 2 years. But I do put some of that in my book. But yeah, like emotions, body work, all those things.
Yeah. The above and the below, you know, like the body, Manly P. Hall talks about the Adam Cadmus, which was Adam before he was a man on earth, and he existed in the higher realms. His hypothesis was that is quite literally talking about the solar system, because you see all these ancient astrological diagrams that look like alchemy, and it's got a planet pointing to each organ. It's almost as if our truest form, like Plato said, there's a perfect form for everything up here that condensates, I guess, so it precipitates form, and we are a copy of the solar system.
Yeah. Right. Well, like SOUL, solar system. We're all, that's what I think consciousness is. I think consciousness is just a system. And that's why I think awareness is different than consciousness. You know, I think there's like higher self-awareness, 5D awareness, and I'm just the 3D consciousness system of my higher self. And it is a feedback system with plasma. So I think we're asking the wrong questions. Like asking what is consciousness for the last 50 years has got us fucking nowhere. Who the fuck cares? It's how do we be in relationship with consciousness and plasma. And that's what I think is so important, because those are the kind of things that do heal cancer, that do change your life. It's not what is consciousness in a scientific paper. It is how do we be in relationship with reality different with plasma and consciousness, or energy and consciousness, whatever you want to call it, reality and consciousness. So yeah, those are the kind of things I try to break down in my book, is really making it more personal, because as most of you watching know, you know, once again, we can know all these things and our life is still in shambles. So I really want to help my spiritual buddies out in like making real change in our lives. Yeah.
So I always try to tell people is the answer is not in a book, and it certainly isn't on YouTube. It's within. Sure. Now there are things in the books that will aim you in that direction. Yes, exactly. But it doesn't. Those things have to be integrated. There is a second step to knowledge, and what is the definition of knowledge applied? That's wisdom. And then wisdom applied and known is gnosis, quite literally. And it makes you realize that so like before this chat, I saged the air, which is something I never would have done before, because I'm like, okay, how does putting a little smoke in the air eliminate negative energy? This is superstition, right? But whenever someone like you comes along with a book like this and ties that, so a smoke from the sage is particles. There's little ions there. There's this charged positive protons in the air that are now engaging with the electromagnetic field that is in the house. And those two things engage, they dance, they move. And of course, what you're doing is you're eliminating the staleness, the stagnancy. That would be considered negative energy according to the human body. Stagnancy is disease. So all of a sudden, go ahead and sage. That's scientific now. This is it's not for no reason. They say, sage around the doorways and the windows. Well, that's where the energy flows the most, right there. It makes this all make sense,
It's the science of what I call the science of higher consciousness.
Right. So have you heard of the Buddhist sect? They're considered atheist by definition. They're the Vajrayana. Are you familiar with these guys?
No.
What you talk about the kahuna in here, and I mean tomato with these guys. But the reason they're considered atheists is because they recognize that there is deity, there is power, and that is objective. So there is God, but they understand that its form depends on them. And what makes this interesting is, it not to go way too left field here, but DMT entities and the Greys, alien beings, always tell the person they're interacting with that, no, this is not my vehicle. This is whatever you're picking up on is an archetype that you have chosen to be able to handle this. And there's parts in the Bible, and anyone who's done DMT will tell you this too. If you got the balls to say, well, then show me your true form. Sometimes they will, and it is obnoxious. You'll fall to your knees. These people in the Bible would fall on their face and say, oh, kill me now that I have seen the face of God. And these entities will be like, no, whoa, I just work here, but this is a way for you to understand it. So the Vajrayana, just like the Tuna, understand that that their imagination is what gives these things a face. So it makes it ironically atheistic in a way, and I think that a lot of what we are experiencing in these ecstatic states, whether it's shamanism, DMT, meditation, I think we're tapping into the quantum realm in a way. I think we're seeing something because that's true formlessness right there, is the quantum realm. And then we give it a form with our consciousness,
I would even beg to call it the quintessence realm. I think the quantum realm is what is observable, right? And what is still material reality. That's why I'm obsessed with quintessence, because I think that back in the day when Aristotle talked about that in ether and quintessence, I think it's the realm of the unobservable. And I think you can have unobservable things and create a gestalt out of them, which goes into the material realm, and we can study the quantum. We can study the gestalt of the immaterial. And this is getting a little heady, I know, and I haven't talked about this much, but I think it's actually like what is kind of the new revolution of our age is the realm of this quintessence, or ether, plasma, and the realm of the unobservable, and what makes up our thoughts, emotions, and dreams. And it turns into material. And then it's like, okay, but how? And it's like, I don't know. We're going to figure that out. And I think there's answers with like dusty complex plasma and how it's made.
Right.
And that, but yeah, I just think it's interesting. I think when we study the quantum, we're studying the material effects of the immaterial. And my interest is in the immaterial more. and learning how that works. And I don't really know how I'm doing that, but somehow I'm just doing that in my mind.
I don't think we're supposed to know exactly how. I mean, first of all, it's subjective to each person.
No, that's it though. That's it. Right. That's why it's like the science of magic. It's like how it works is with your own consciousness. Right. So that's the coolest part. And like science is a little bit the same with observer effect, but I think there's, certain material laws that don't apply in that realm. But this realm is really like, fair game for everyone to make their own opinions. And that's why I think it's so cool, because it takes the study of science and it individualizes it into your own science of consciousness. Yeah.
That reminds me of how Plato describes, he's got the Platonic solids, which are just the home base archetypes of form. And, and there's no surprise that when we dig deep into the subatomic realms, those are quite literally the forms. But so he describes that there is a perfect form of number, but which, by the way, he says he got all this from Pythagoras. He accredits Pythagoras with all that stuff. Pythagoras was considered like a Jesus of his time. He was a supernatural being. I mean, they considered him magical, just like misunderstood David Blaine would be today. But like, these perfect forms that exist, they just are. They're like the hard drive, where it's like on workshop, you've got all those tools and they're waiting, they're dormant. But what happens on the screen depends on how you take those tools and move them. That becomes your life. That becomes your experience.
Yes, I would call when I'm talking about in this like fifth dimensional space, I would call what he's probably calling that realm of perfect forms, and everything's like more shadows of that. And I know there's some biologists, I think his name is Michael Levin. That would be a great wormhole to go down to, who talks about how to apply this realm of perfect forms to AI and machines. I don't really care much for that, but I think there's a way to apply and identify these perfect forms to consciousness, which goes back to what you were saying with the sigils and the sacred geometry. And I think there's just so much we have not unlocked yet there with these perfect forms, and how to utilize them with our consciousness instead of applying them to machines.
Yeah. Right. We're over machined as a society. Not only do we depend on them utterly, but it's something that we consider to be progress whenever machines are made. And well, speaking of which, big props on, I can tell when something's written with AI. You didn't.
Oh, thank you.
All 666 pages, which, by the way, I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
It was an accident.
It is?
Yeah, 666 pages. Well,
no way.
The book ends at 665 pages, but then there's
it does. Wait, why did I think it was 700 pages? Oh my God. Wait, I'm like laughing right now because people are going to think that's such a conspiracy. Well, you know what else? Huh?
You can't do anything without those guys coming out of the woodwork. If I do this, people are like, "Oh, he's Illuminati. He's showing one eye." You can't.
It is 666, and you know what's crazy is I made it. It came out on September 9th, 2025, which was 9 number. Like everything's either 3, 6, or 9. And I wrote it in 9 months. There's a lot of 3, 6s, and 9s in it, so I actually love that it is the 666.
Well, it's not like you didn't do it on purpose. You let it flow.
I don't think I did.
Yeah. Well, like Tool, they wrote Fear Inoculum. They didn't try to make it all numerical and shit. They just got the zone or whatever. But I'll say, while we're on the subject of your book.
Yeah.
Okay, so table of contents. At the bottom, you wrote that the table of contents itself is dedicated to Michael Talbot, who is my favorite dude ever. Now, I know he wrote Holographic Universe, but dude, please get a copy of
The Delicate
Mysticism, huh?
Oh, are you talking about his, like, the New Physics?
Yes, Mysticism and the New Physics.
Do you have his vampire book?
Oh, I didn't know about that.
He wrote a book called The Delicate Dependency, which is about vampires and like stealing kids and conspiracies and magic. It's like a Victorian vampire novel. It's one of the best. It's like a fiction book.
Well, no wonder he died early. I mean, I'm not trying to point fingers, but
no, trust me, everyone read that book.
Wow. Noted.
It talks about the Venus de Milo. Anyway, it's crazy. It's crazy.
What is cool about this book, the way that you flow this from the beginning. So right off the bat, you have what could be considered kind of a kid's book.
Oh, like
you have the pictures with the short phrases, and this is like yours is the color, but it shows the playfulness of this and how simple it can be. But then you go into chapter X, or this first, and you break everything down first with definitions. So like I was telling you before this chat, this book is for everybody between a scientist or your Aunt Nana who makes the green bean casserole. Like you break down for the reader the terms, the definitions and stuff before you go into the science of it, but you don't waste any time, because right here on page 9, boom, you jump into microtubules. So it's like, this is what I try to tell some of these guys who misinterpret you. Whenever you come on, you're like, guys, all right, let's go, and
I can be smart.
That's right. But here on page 9, it says, in our cells, mitochondria pump protons as ion flow across membranes, creating a voltage. This generates energy and facilitates information exchange, and coherence is maintained via structural organization, displaying the same plasma behavior seen across cosmos in sheaths.
Yes.
What's up with the sheaths?
So there's a lot with plasma sheaths. Do you want me to compare it to the microtubule stuff, or like plasma behaviors, or
which way? Because I'm unfamiliar with the sheaths.
Yeah, so there's different plasma sheaths. There's plasma sheaths with two plasmas interacting. They can be of the same charge or a different charge. There's something called a Debbie sheath, where I think it's the same charge. Let me just make sure I'm not fucking up what I'm saying right now. Hold on. Debbie sheath, plasma. I just can't pronounce anything, unfortunately. So a thin charge layer that forms in a plasma when it interacts with a surface. So there's plasmas interacting with surfaces, and then there's plasmas interacting with plasmas. But basically all plasmas have sheaths. All people have sheaths. All material, everything is in a plasma bubble, which has a sheath.
That's why we can't go through it, despite our atoms being spread apart like stars. We can't go through things.
Basically are almost like where our consciousness lies, on the outside of us. And these sheaths in plasma is how plasma interchanges information exchange and energy exchange, and how it's how everything, sheaths are how everything functions. They're boundaries. There's a lot there with learning more about sheaths and information exchange and how consciousness works, in my mind. If we study sheaths, we can learn more about consciousness. But yeah, everything has it's like how, if there's like something with a negative charge and a positive charge, it's like how they're able to work together with the sheath. Yeah.
So like fire walking would be they have enhanced their own personal
sheath,
plasmatic sheath.
So, and which is literally just like their consciousness. So like you could think that our plasma sheath is conscious, where maybe like this plasma sheath would be more like not a lesser, I hate saying the word lesser, but a different form of sentience or consciousness, where maybe it isn't conscious, but it's still, when these things click together, like what is there, kind of like these two things have different sheaths. But yes, for instance, when we're walking on fire, when you change your state of consciousness to harmonize with the sheath of the fire or the rock, whatever thing you're interacting with in every moment, if you know how to harmonize your consciousness with this other thing, your sheaths will kind of interact in a different way. How that works, if that makes sense. You don't need to know how this works, but it explains how these things work.
Yeah, this kind of explains why we can get electrocuted, because like heat, radiation, all that stuff, like we might not be able to go through solid surfaces
Yeah.
Because the program is set up that way. You can't go through a solid surface in a video game either.
Yes.
But electricity and radiation and magnetism, it doesn't apply to the sheath. So you can get electrocuted, and being an electrical being, that's gonna pass through whatever. That's probably why it hurts. Oh, you're good. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, my alarm's going off. Yeah. Yes.
I can address the chat, by the way. I might have to let this cat out and pee for a second if you want to take questions in the chat.
Okay, I can do that.
Oh, can we do that right now?
Yeah, you can do that. I'll tell them more about plasma sheaths for my book.
Perfect. I can hear you, but I'll be right back.
Okay. So basically, plasma sheaths form at a boundary where a charged object, which would be like a spacecraft, meets a surrounding plasma. The ions and electrons begin to flow and separate, creating distinct layers of charge. The separation generates a voltage across a boundary, which regulates the flow of energy and information between the spaceship and the plasma, or the object and the environment. And then what happens, it's kind of like forms a membrane around, like a membrane around a cell, like a plasma membrane. Over time, this interaction of these two things coming together with the sheaths creates a stable, self-organizing structure. It creates a coherent plasma field with feedback loops and pattern stability similar to a memory. So when we are rubbing up against anything, that is why psychics can like look at your father's watch and get the memory of your father, because their consciousness is somehow more open or harmonized with that. So when you learn to use your consciousness in these ways, you can open up the memory of any object. So that kind of has to do with plasma sheaths in a weird way. But yeah, basically plasma sheaths create memory, I was saying. So the interaction creates memory. Yeah. Does that make any sense? I don't really know.
Well, I think you do know more than you might know. But memory is, I think, really all there is. I mean, not literally, but subjectively speaking, all there is memory. Because what are we if not? I mean, we know who we are because of a stored section of memory, and we find out that water holds memory. You know, they did a study where they took a glass of water and they put DNA into the water, and they took the DNA out and then shipped that water to a whole different lab. And it was a blind study, by the way. I wish I could remember exactly the name of the study. Maybe I'll put it in the description or something, because this is real for what I'm about to say happened. So the water got shipped to a new laboratory, and they added the proteins and amino acids, that the raw materials, unorganized, that create DNA. And the water reconstructed those amino acids into the same DNA helix code as the original laboratory did. They did it with a different glass of water, and that didn't happen.
So that's so interesting. I feel like we apply this to ourselves in so many ways too, because meaning is created, right? Memory is created. So I think there is ways to hack into memory to like better our lives as well, like healing the past, for instance. Like when you have a past trauma, there's all these open feedback loops. Therapists kind of talk about this. When you have a past trauma of, let's just bring it up again, like someone betraying you, like you never got to close that loop. So there's this open feedback loop, and then you keep meeting people who betray you because your mind, your memory is trying to close that loop, your consciousness. If you can go with a therapist into that memory, close that loop and work on that yourself and heal that, then there is no more of that memory kind of feedback, which will program your bioplasma, your consciousness differently. So that is why, once again, healing is at like the core of all of this, as annoying as it is.
Even as traumas as deep as, say, you're behind somebody at the gas station, they're buying scratchy lotteries, like even traumas that deep. And which that's mine recently. But
wait, what was it? What happened? A micro trauma?
Yeah, it's a micro trauma. Someone's buying lottery tickets at the gas station at 5 a.m. and you're just trying to get to work. It's like, man, just quit it. You guys need the vending machines for that shit. But
There's many ways. See, there's many. Let me tell you though. Let me psychoanalyze, because that can tell you a lot about your state of mind and psyche. Because I either am like that, or if you're in a state of like more relaxation, you'd be like, oh, you know what? This might be saving me from getting in an accident going to work. They might have had their dad die yesterday. Like, there's we're always not in that state. There's trust me, I give the finger to people a lot. I'm very bad at road rage. I have to work on it. But my point is, everything's a mirror, and everything can show you what your state of mind is. So it's really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. The red light that's annoying you might be saving you from an incident down the road. I think that's like called burnt toast theory. Really?
I literally, a few months ago, I was dealing really bad with some mental health struggles as I was finishing my book, because I think I just like, I'm scared to finish anything. Because then you're like, what's next? And it really hit on some core wounds. And I was driving through like South Carolina, and I couldn't even drive on the highway because my panic was so bad. And I pulled over, I started eating a sandwich, and I thought I was about to have a seizure. Never have had a seizure. Literally just like, I was in panic attack mode. So I was like, and I was crying. I was like, why do I feel like this? Why is this happening? And then all of a sudden I looked on my map. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to get back on the highway. And I saw all of a sudden that there was a huge backup of traffic, and there was a horrendous crash. And for all I know, I could have been in that crash if I didn't have that. My point is, like, we never know like why. And I've had many things like that happen actually. And we're just never the victims we think we are. And trust me, I understand, guys. Like, I've had such horrible situations. Like, I get feeling like that. Even this week, I had an annoying situation where I felt so victim to life. But because I felt that, I like read all these books and did all this work on myself. And I'm like, oh, that's why that happened. Because now I'm like leveled up in this thought, because I just went through that really bad thing. So anyway.
That's quite literally shadow work right there.
Yeah.
You see what angers you, what tempts you, and just in various ways that you're not righteous, so to speak. And then you look at it. You don't have to figure it out. Just that's the common theme here. But like one time I made a shadow work chart, and on that chart was things, junk food, lust, rage, these things that impatience, and I made a little cross section on the chart going, okay, how does this apply to me specifically? Because not everybody has those same. Some of them are across the board, but how does this inhibit me specifically? And just by filling out that chart, a change kind of comes over you, because now you're not ignoring those negative aspects of yourself. You're realizing, oh, they're not objectively negative. They're negative because the way I express them in my output is a form of negativity. It's not for the benefit of humanity. And that's the best way to look at everything, because what benefits you is what benefits humanity. We're all in the same petri dish,
Yeah, we need to be nicer to ourselves.
That's being nicer to ourselves is like showing up for yourself. It does the good for everybody. There's kind of an allegory of there's like 3 petri dishes. And one is, okay, these bacteria are interacting. It's a little world, but then this bacteria realizes that it can feed itself more if it takes food away from the rest of the bacteria. So it does that, and it gets bigger and healthier, or the other ones get weaker. But then, to his surprise, that the whole system comes out of balance, and the whole petri dish dies. And now no one's alive. Unbeknownst to the selfish unit of bacteria, now everyone's dead. And then let's say the second petri dish was that same thing going on, but this time it passed that test. No one got selfish, and it became the animal kingdom. And so there is like an invasive species comes in and realizes, if I eviscerate the entire food source here, then nobody can have anything else. I get everything to myself. Now that entire ecosystem collapses. But let's say there's a third petri dish now where that animal kingdom passes that test, right? It becomes human life, to where everyone's making a living, doing a business. This guy grows the food, this person shepherds, this person does the art, this guy builds the buildings. Everyone's got their job, and their truest forms or passions become the trade of which they give back to community and get paid at the same time. They'll say there's no money involved. But then someone realizes, if I create a bank, well, now I can loan money out and I can just make passive income without having to lift a finger. I don't have to do anything for myself. And my business of nothingness based on interest becomes huge and swallows all of the rest of it around us. Well, we're in the same petri dish too. And I hate to be negative here, but it's as if we passed those first two steps, but the third one is sneaking up on us, because now everything in our life revolves around the bank. It wasn't supposed to be that way. No,
it's not. And I wonder if in our lifetime that will kind of change, because I do think the new currency is more like, energy, not money. But there's so much that has to fall apart for that to actually happen.
That's the scary part about it.
Yeah, that one I don't know. I have a very optimistic view of our future. I really do. I'm not saying things won't have to fall apart in ways, but I do believe we can have a coherent falling apart and transition. So it's really like, how much are the world leaders waking up? Because if we're all waking up, some of them have to be waking up, I'm not saying all of them, but either way, it's just interesting stuff to think about. I think the more we wake up ourselves, the more they'll wake up. Funny enough. So I think
it's contagious.
I think the biggest thing is like, everyone work on yourselves, and you'll be amazed how the world can change by doing that.
Right. And there's a tipping point involved. It doesn't have to be every single soul individual. It takes a majority of them. And, in alchemy, before coagulation takes place, there is, dissolution and separation. And there's chaos before order. And that is scary, but that's the order of events, and that's entropy. We're all temporary and stuff, but as long as we dedicate that entropy to the greater good, I think that's what is important.
I really think we'll be okay, contrary to what most people say, but we'll see. I'm trying to find something else fun in the book that we could talk about plasma for people that don't know. Did you have like a favorite part we could talk about, or like anything that you really?
Oh my goodness, yeah, I've got some. Okay, well, first of all, this is the most clever picture that you depicted all these sources of plasma as puzzle pieces.
Yes,
I love that.
Thank you.
That's a really cool illustrative way to say something and make it clear, necessarily without words. But speaking of, I mean, when it comes to this book, I mean, damn, you name it. The Kordylewski clouds. We could go into. I want to get into Mary Magdalene.
Oh yes.
What's up with this?
Yes.
Fred Hoyle's 1957 science fiction novel, The Black Cloud, seems to be a damn reflection of what we found around our moon, the Kordylewski clouds. And so, okay, for people who don't know about the Kordylewski clouds, what would you say about those puppies?
Yeah, so I think there's something called Lagrange points between the Earth and the moon. I think it's between L4 and 5. I'm not sure if I'm correct. There are I believe there are two clouds that Robert Temple and Chandra Wickramasinghe wrote a paper on about how they believe that they are intelligent.
Right.
They have very similar, they're intelligent plasma clouds. They're very similar to almost not computers, but they have, they're almost like living. They say that they have things similar to like DNA filaments and self-organization, and complexity and intelligence. And Robert Temple wrote a paper very recently that people can look up that got published about how he believes they're almost like monitoring us. Right. I kind of think it's a reflection of just anything else. We're like, we have a mother and a father. So maybe those are the mother and father plasma clouds watching over the Earth. I don't know. And I'm not too well versed in them, but I do believe that they're just another example of how plasma is intelligent, whatever they actually are. And they were theorized to be there, but way before they were actually proven to be there, I think a few years ago.
Right.
But they're an example of how plasma is intelligent and self-organizes, and how, that's really what I think of them. Yeah.
The way that they're shaped and like the construct of the Kordylewski clouds is what is interesting, because like any plasma, it's almost like Occam's razor. It's like, how could it not be alive? Because we talked about the human brain earlier and how it's just dead flesh without the invisible electricity, right? So the best way I think to imagine the Kordylewski clouds, that is plasma in general, is if you have the electrical signals in the brain firing through the synapses and all those neurons and stuff like that, they're active. If you remove the brain and you just observed that electricity flowing and moving, that's what plasma is. It's quite literally a thinking brain without the flesh involved.
And it's without think about when we die and the brain's still there, it's like without consciousness. So that's why I think plasma is sentient. It's the vehicle for consciousness. It creates the breeding ground for consciousness.
Right. It's as if it's been thinking the whole time. And then eventually at one point it was like, oh, I have an idea. Let's create a whole, like a world within a world, which became the material flesh, you know. It's like my son has a game on his phone called Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
And if we bring Pokemon again here, we'll put that back on the screen. But
Pokemon is plasma, guys. So it's a Pokeball, plasma Pokeball.
And the ball is the toroidal sheath, you know. But on the game, it looks through the camera on the phone, and it's our world through the phone, just like you're taking a picture. But then you see, right over there on the street corner is a Mewtwo, and that Mewtwo is right there, but you can't see it without the proper equipment.
Yes,
it's almost like this fall of Sophia. What it was, it's like these perfect forms, like Plato's perfect forms, and the Kordylewski clouds plasma. It's already in place and it's already thinking, but then it decided to coagulate into something that had form and that was solid yet temporary. It's like almost like frozen thought is what the flesh seems to be, you know. And Osiris and Isis, they came into human flesh in order to enjoy. That's what they did here. They were like, enjoyed food, sex, art, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Because they were formless beings that came into the flesh in order to experience life, so to speak, quote unquote.
Yes, I think the movie Frozen is a great example of that. And I think we're in like an unfreezing now where we're moving from survival consciousness to co-creative consciousness. And that is quite literally unfreezing and knowing that reality is malleable. And when you talk about Mary Magdalene, it's just like the power of the divine feminine, the magic within us, the suppression of the plasma of the feminine knowledge throughout history is because it is magic and we can't be controlled if we have that.
You know, I've been loosely working on an episode called Forgotten Sophia, because we have eliminated the divine feminine from the world. I don't know how he got back in. I guess
you're so funny. You're like I like go crazy when this happens. You're like, fucking cat. I wish I could yell at you, but everyone will see how crazy I am.
I learned early on that all these guys in the chat enjoy when my life is utter chaos. Maybe it helps them identify with it, but that's why live or not, even if I'm filming an episode, I leave all those imperfections in, because
I do too with my dog. My dog barks in half my videos. They're like, oh, there's Danica. She's like a celebrity now. It's fine.
Right. Yeah. See,
she's
that's perfect, right? Go with the flow, you know. But oh my goodness, what were we on? The divine feminine, we have utterly eviscerated. The further back in time you go, the more you find out God was a woman. And this is important because not only is that a Gnostic ideal, but women are the creative aspect. And if you breach past the Middle Ages where the sun is masculine and the moon is feminine, I don't know where it flip-flopped, but these ancient cultures, Dogon, Zulu, not the Wanjinda, but the Aboriginal Australians, it was opposite.
Yes. There was like matriarchy and then patriarchy. And now I think we're getting into like the nutriarchy or like the child, I think we've already been to the feminine. Then we did this masculine shit. It's not working either. And I think now we're realizing everything really is more like a child, right? It's more, and it does lean feminine, I will say, because there is like, you know, emotion and feeling first before thought, just the same as they just came out with this 2 days ago, that they thought that light, their whole view of light has changed, where there's more magnetism than electric. They just came out this 2 days ago. I just made a video on TikTok today about this. Hold on, I'll tell you really quick. You'll probably love this.
Okay.
Something with the Faraday. Okay, so they just discovered the old view for 180 years was that since 1845, scientists believe only the electric field of light mattered in the Faraday effect. They completely ignore the magnetic field. The truth is, magnetic component contributes 17% in visible light and 70% in infrared. Basically, light does not illuminate matter; it magnetically influences it. So basically, in this Faraday effect with electricity, there's actually more magnetic effect than there is electric. The magnetism has more effect than the electric, which is crazy because that's basically just the suppressed feminine now rearing its head with light. But their whole understanding of light is now changing, and the ways that they work technology will change too. And this just came out 2 days ago, but it's basically the same thing. It's all of this going back to this feminine principle. But going back to what I was saying, I think just the same as like where feminism obviously doesn't work because it's just putting men down and raising women up. And of course, women need to be raised up, but so does the feminine in men. I think being neutral and being children and just remembering the humanity in everyone is like the way to go. And as far as like the feminine qualities, just remembering like feeling first, emotions first, sensing first, and thought second. That's like the indigenous way. Like God, I would say God's more of a woman than a man, but I would say it like maybe is just like slightly leaning in that way, but it's more about like, it's just more about playing as though we're all God's children. That's what it really is. I went on a tangent. I blanked out.
Well,
sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good. This androgynous at ground zero, because when you get rid of duality, you don't have a feminine or a male aspect with it. But it's just interesting how, you know, it's whenever I had my original crazy theory about, you know, the sun giving birth to planets, that is plasma creating dust. And then relating that to the Sophia, I almost interrupted myself. Like, how can that be if Sophia is the feminine and, you know, the sun is considered masculine? Well, to see that got flip-flopped once upon a time, because like Carl Jung would visit these Aboriginal tribes, and I don't know if he visited them firsthand, but he would ask them, they said, where do you think, where does your thinking take place? You're thinking from here, right? And they're, no. That would be naive, is what they said. This is naive to think from here. I mean, you're going to be driven by your desires. They're like, we think our thought process is here, you know, and they describe the sun as feminine because it's what gives life, quite literally. This is no metaphor. The sun gives life. It gives birth to everything that we are. How would it not be feminine?
You know, I'm having a stoner thought, and I don't even smoke pot, but like, I'm like going back right now to thinking, how did the first man and woman appear on earth? Like, was it a man or woman? And then how did they have a child? Like, was it just a man? Where, like, I know the Adam and Eve thing, right? But like, seriously, like, how did it actually happen? Like, was it a woman?
There has to be
given birth by immaculate conception, or did we like how did it really start? I would like love to be a fly on the wall. And of course I have my own ideas, but if you really think about it, something's not adding up. And I don't even know where to go from that. I'm just saying that yes, women obviously give birth. Everything comes from the woman, right? But the man's sperm has to be in the woman's egg. So it's like, it keeps floating back and forth. And it's like, obviously the woman does give birth to this material reality, but then almost like the sperm would be to me like awareness or like this 5D consciousness coming in. And I know this sounds very sexual, but like penetrating this plasma egg, and then reality is created. But I don't even think it's man and woman then. I think it's just like this masculine and feminine principle.
Right.
It's literally like I talk about consciousness and plasma. It is a fucking infinity symbol. And I don't know how the hell men and women got here. And I don't, whatever.
Well, there's a unified origin that at one point had to split. So like before there was plants and animals, there was mushrooms. And so mushrooms are neither plant or animal. They're very fleshy, you know. But at one point, all life on Earth was just mushrooms. And my daughter let my cat back in. I'll talk to her. But at one point, the mushroom decided to become either plant or animal in one way or another. But what that reminds me of is cell division and the underlying intelligence of things, right? So
making choices.
Yes. So when a cell divides, it doesn't just get bigger.
Yeah.
Hey, Descenda?
It's not that bad. It's not as bad as you think.
Oh, I know, but he's bugging me. But a cell divides into two cells. Now they're two of the same size cell, and that becomes 4, 8, 16, 32. At a certain point, some cells decide to become bone. Some cells decide to become eyeball, brain.
There's a blueprint there.
Right. And if you ask a scientist who's deciding that, they say, well, it's the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
No, the path of least resistance is to die. You know, so the cell itself isn't deciding to become bone or brain material. There's an underlying intelligence there directing it, telling it which way to go to create this overall form, you know. That's a way for that's a way for God to experience himself.
The fifth dimensional higher selves of us came into these mushroom and monkey bodies and created humans. And I think that's, you know, that's what it is, putting the choice back in us. I decided to be a girl, I came here a girl. You decided to be a guy, you came here a guy. We decided to be whatever. But I think our answer is, it has nothing to do with what we're saying. It's about a choice. And it has to do with mushrooms and monkeys and cats.
Mushrooms and monkeys and cats. Hey, Jacinda, are you there?
Nope, it's there.
Well,
okay, I have like 5 more, or let's, I have to wrap up in a bit, but keep going, sorry.
Well, speaking of the divine feminine being lost, and Pope Gregory in the 16th century, what was his damn problem? But
I know.
Yeah, he was the one who called Mary Magdalene a prostitute in the first place, when she was actually like the main home dog disciple. She was
she communicated with Jesus when he died in that plasma intelligent third space place of gnosis.
Yeah, that's something that is important. And
maybe a unicorn. Sorry,
I could hear you. But
someone said it came to be a unicorn. What happened? I don't know. So did I, everyone.
The chat's always very interesting.
Yeah, I got distracted. Okay, go ahead.
No, but so Mary Magdalene, I think, has direct ties with the Sophia. You know, if you read the what's it called? If you watch Esoterica, he talks about the Pistis Sophia, which is a Gnostic gospel, and he describes it as otherworldly, crazily abstract, and confusing, and a lot of conjecture. Like, why would she do this? Why would she do that? And now, Dr. Justin Sledge is a scholar. I mean, a bona fide teacher, scholar. So he's not, I wouldn't say allowed to, but he plays it safe. He just reads you the history of it, tells you his thoughts on the history of it, how these things came to be. But he's not exactly going to be speculating like you and I are.
Yeah.
But as confusing and crazy and abstract as the Pistis Sophia is, take all of Dana's plasma science and apply it to what Sophia is doing and talking about in the Pistis Sophia, and it falls right into place. And it's as if Marys, the Marys of the Bible, or magnetism, is a worldly reflection of that. And what better way to keep all the power to yourself in this little petri dish than to completely eliminate the divine feminine by turning her into a prostitute? And it's frankly maddening.
It's our sexual energy. It is our magic. It is our ki, our chi, our kundalini. It is That is what has been suppressed because the power is outside of us. We think we need it from a church. We need it from a scientist. We need it from a college. We need it from all these things that are like, I can give you something. And it's like, if we could get it ourselves, there would be no money exchange, right? There would be no government really. So like, of course it's been suppressed, but that's annoying. And all those people were so greedy, and like, we need to take the power back. And it all starts with the divine feminine and getting that. And sexual energy is just creative energy. It really isn't about sex at all, everyone. So it's about reclaiming our creative magic energy. That is all we are doing. That is all my book is about. This is creation energy. And the green is, balance. And it's funny, the 666 pages, because 6 is really a balance number between 3 and 9. It's more of a neutral, right? The middle of that. But it's just this new force is about reclaiming something that's not a force, which is the point of the book. It is reclaiming our subtle forces, our things that aren't forces. It is our magic energy. And with the new human potential, it's how to work with plasma and consciousness to create ourselves as magical humans and to create better realities. And hopefully I'll continue to be a living example of that as I, go through human issues, but also create my dream life. So, just at the beginning phases of it. And I'm hoping to show it with how I live. But like, I know what I'm saying, not as the truth, but as a truth that we can apply to reality if you want to.
Right. And we all should. And I mean, hell, I couldn't have said it better myself than with that. And it's cool to see that you had a color scheme in mind for the book, and this isn't all random.
Yeah.
Very lovely images here. But,
yes.
We have covered a lot. I can't think of a better way to end this today than to read another one of my favorite quotes from this.
Yes, do it. And then I'll read the afterward because it's only a page and it's important.
Perfect. All right. We'll take turns and then we'll get out of here. And hopefully I'll get you a copy of this for your YouTube and everything.
Yes.
But so we can stop worshiping or fearing higher intelligences and instead build a relationship with it, just as the kahunas did. We must also embrace that there will always be a tinge of mystery, no matter what. And then right here, you don't need to control your reality. You need to learn to harmonize with it. That is beautiful, because all of these ancient cultures, they didn't have governments. When you see the way these temples were built, whether it's the pyramids or these Hindu temples that look like circuit boards, there was not a single person in charge. That it was meant for everybody to receive what each individual sovereign person was meant to be their own king. When they talk about they were kings once upon a time, they're like, okay, how can everyone be a king? Well, get your mind out of this hierarchy, because if everyone is sovereign, everyone is a king of themselves. This is what Edward Leedskalton of Coral Castle in Florida was trying to tell us. He's like, everyone is their own sovereign king, and you don't need someone to feed you.
Your kingdom, right. Your biofield is your kingdom. You are your kingdom. Everyone is born with the same kingdom, the same amount of hours in a day. And look at all the amazing feats people pull off. It's because they know that they're a kingdom. Exactly.
Right. Yeah. They're in tune with it.
Yeah. And everyone can be. And hopefully my book is one of many books that can push you guys more towards that, back to your, so I want to read my afterword. I don't know why, but I just feel like it.
Sure.
This is basically just, I don't know why I'm reading this, guys. I'm just reading it. But this is like one of the last pages of my book. And it starts with a quote by Emily Dickinson. Tell all the truth, but tell it slant. The truth must dazzle gradually, or every man be blind. I wrote, my main goal in this book was telling the truth. I edited it countless times, and that truth kept shifting. I realized that every time that my awareness grew, so did my understanding. That my book would never be perfect or absolute truth. Truth is always in flux. It is always evolving. I hope what I wrote in this book does shift, change, and evolve over time. I'm sure some things are wrong or not totally accurate, but that's okay. I'm speculating. I'm asking questions and speaking what I feel to be true. I am pushing what is known so we can arrive at the next place to once again push what is known. So please push and question my ideas, formulate your own understanding. Truths are revealed gently over time. And that is what I think happened with this book. Nothing is meant to be revealed all at once. There is fun in the mystery. Truths are co-created with our awareness. We are flying towards truth in every moment. And from what I learned in the arduous process of editing my book is that maybe it is not about catching up to truth, but enjoying the relationship with truth that is ever growing. That every day new things will sprout from this, from within us, and it will all be beyond our wildest dreams. And I say, above all, may this book remind you of your own wholeness, and may love be the field in which all truth is revealed. And I am grateful for everyone engaging in this book if they read it. And remember, as truths are revealed, we ultimately author our own truths. The end.
Oh, mic drop. That's awesome. And no anchor, no cable, no fences are able to keep a fact, Emerson. Which case in point, truth is subjective. And that ending is a perfect message to both haters and people who might take the book too seriously, because you're saying that these things are shifty and these things are essentially up to you, up to the reader, and we are authoring our own lives.
I mean, I think the book is about plasma, right? But it really is just a mirror, and it really is about you. It is the person reading it. And I think it will just, I think what it does, and I'm not sure, it might do something different for everyone, is it cracks open reality for you to create your own reality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
cracking really, the cosmic egg.
Yeah, that's really what it does. And I'm sure there are many ways to do that. And if someone's, you know, called to know their own magic, they'll love my book. If they love plasma, they'll love my book. Plasma just directs you back to yourself. So.
Right. Well, this has been a wonderful chat. It's a wonderful book. I appreciate it so much. And I recommend it to anybody. I'm going to update the description and get a link to it in there if it's not there already.
Thank you. You need to come on my podcast, by the way.
What's up? Let's do that.
Yeah, I'm gonna when we get off, let's text about that just to nail down a date, just so we can do that.
Well, in that case, let's get it going. I'll talk to you guys later. And thank you.
Bye, guys. You can buy my book and take my magic class, and the link's in bio.
All right. Bye. See ya.
Bye.